Hello everyone! If you want to beat the Savage Clanker, I recommend you to use the NPCs, specifically Alessa as your main tank to draw Omega's enmity, more on that later, Kai as a support, because while the NPCs deal some decent damage, having one focusing on support is incredibly valuable, and last I bring Olivia to potentially get a stun thanks to her hammer, and to have a second NPC targeting the head, increasing the chance of the NPCs taking the enmity. But you can also bring Mina, for example. Some people say she is more reliable on healing and tanking damage. Support Hunter's carting does not count, only player's carting counts towards duty failure. If you play with 4 people, try to specify some roles. Somebody needs to focus on keeping Omega's enmity. That is very important, more on that in the fight section. For the love of Gorg, bring a healer or just have everybody use wide range or so. It will come in very handy. And bring your life powders, armor and demon powders, just everything you can carry. Don't be afraid to drop 1 or 2 damage skills. As for your gear, I don't have a 100% foolproof Omega build, but I have a fairly tanky one which is certainly enough to take on even Savage Omega and survive most attacks without it one-shotting you. Personally, I can recommend these skills. Divine Blessing is the best defensive skill in the game. For Switch X users, stun resistance is always very nice to have. While I am more of an evade window type person, this freaking clanker broke me, and for now I just use evade distance. It gets so much easier dealing with all the bullshit the tin can throws at you. And maybe you want to bring bind resistance as well to not get frozen in place, but this isn't a must, honestly. I rarely got comboed by a powerful attack after being stuck in ice, but maybe I'm just lucky. A decent chunk of your damage will come from Pictomancy. Even the NPCs use it from time to time, and it is a ton of free damage. Every 30 seconds you can paint a picture. First the lollipop, which drops a lot of balls in an area, then the bat, which, I don't know, creates a hurricane or whatever, and then the Mark of Ages, which easily deals 1k damage each time you use it. All of these deal some decent damage, so be sure to take the chance to cast these. Just don't get hit in the process. You can always dodge out of it though without triggering the cooldown. For blade weapons, the best parts to hit are the hind legs and rear power unit. For blunt weapons, the head and front legs are the best places to hit it. Same goes for ranged weapons. Everybody eat for insurance to get as many cards as possible. Drink your mega armor skin, take your mega demon drug, and let's get into the fight. So far, I've never seen a prompt for a sneak attack, and usually Omega spots you before you get close anyway, so start with a Pictomancy spell to instantly get some nice damage in while Omega is sitting still, and then get to either the legs or the head. Support hunters are a bit all over the place, I can't guarantee for anything, but they're better than randoms. For Switch X, once you entered Amped State and activated Power X mode, you should already be able to use the second Pictomancy spell. Just spam these throughout the entire fight. Do not underestimate the damage it deals. But let's talk about why enmity is so important. Because if Omega doesn't focus on a specific target, he'll attack everybody, always, at the same time. Jumping all over the arena, spamming missiles and lasers and flame carpets, creating downtime for everybody in the group. Somebody has to take the enmity for the entire group to succeed. Enmity is taken by dealing enough damage to the head of Omega. The small drones Omega spawns will track you and suicide bomb into you. The little glowing drones create a shield when they die by your hand. Not if they jump into you and get destroyed. A shield is also generated when a wound on Omega's face is destroyed. These shields protect you from any elemental attack, but not from physical attacks. The clanker only has 2 stomp attacks, a body slam and the dash through the arena. Everything else can basically be shielded. Even the flying fists don't count as physical attacks. Beware though, the mustard bomb will instantly destroy the shield. Apart from that, you are fine here for quite a while to deal some nice damage. The last way to get shields is by breaking the legs, which will topple Omega and drop a part onto the floor, which can be looted for the slinger version of the shield. This is also a good place to cast the Pictomancy spells. Don't forget about them. I will remind you more often throughout the video. And by the way, they don't have to hit the target to proceed to the next picture and the Mark of Ages. Just cast them whenever, for example at a zone transition. You really want to hit the Mock of Ages though. Also, the player that has Omega's attention should try to get Omega underneath the 2 icicles in area 2 and the big broken wall in area 3 for even more big free damage that also flinches Omega. If the chance arises, you can drop the floating boulders as well, since you don't need those for Jindahart's Nova, because there's no Nova. At least not an ice one, so let's talk about the lovely DPS check of this fight. After dealing enough damage in area 3, Omega charges its ultimate and creates a Nerscylla clone as a distraction. It also creates lots of critters, because why the fuck not? The Cactuars are stationary and will deal very good damage to Nerscylla if it would stay in one place for a moment. Much more valuable are these little schmucks. They will vomit steam reviews from Monster Hunter Wilds at you, resulting in paralysis, poison and stench all at the same time. They indicate their attack and can be killed, but if you can manage to hit the clone with one of these, you get a huge opening for your team. If you can, try to prepare the Mock of Ages before the clone spawns and blast it away as soon as it is created. Also hit your team with Demon Powder and equip your mantle for this specific part of the fight. You can also bring a secondary paralysis weapon in hopes to paralyze it for the team, but that is more of an idea than a well-tested theory. If you don't kill Nerscylla, the rest of the fight will be harder. I'm certain the hit zone values decrease, so you deal less damage now, and Omega also deals way more damage now. So yeah, good luck. My advice: kill the freaking seedling dipshits, because they are way too dangerous and probably paralyze at least one support hunter, and focus on gaining Nerscylla's enmity. Then it will stand still and you can just stay underneath it and hack away at it as much as possible. Maybe use the Rocksteady Mantle solely for this part of the fight. Perhaps lure her to a cactus, but the most important thing is enmity and just hammering into it as much as possible. Let's talk about unique weak spots. Omega can have a weak spot after the big fat laser beam it shoots occasionally, which will result in a shield generated. So this is very valuable, especially during the final moments of the fight. When firing multiple spreading lasers, it can also have a weak spot at the same spot, though this one is very hard to hit and only shortly active. In general, I haven't recognized a pattern yet how or when they appear. At some point during your hunt, during Pantokrator Mode, the space microwave will go apeshit, jumping around, stomping around and burning everything around it. 2 times it will burn the ground in 2 directions, and a final time where it throws fire into every direction, which will get it exhausted and create a weak spot on the joints on each leg. If you mount Omega and destroy the wound you created on its head, it will also generate a shield, so always finish on Omega's face. Wait, what? You can probably only get 1 mount, so try to save this one for the final phase. Perhaps even once the skull icon appears on Omega, because it will completely lose its mind when close to death. The support hunters drop like flies and taking enmity is rather difficult at this point, so in the very finale I focus on dealing damage with the ice boulders and pictomancy as much as possible. There is a high chance that the support hunters mount Omega early in the fight, but you can prevent that by going into your settings and literally disabling them to do so. So you are in control when the mount happens. Alright, so these were some general tips. Now let's talk a bit more about certain attacks. In general, the best place to be are directly at the legs, on the outside to be exact. Here you can't be easily reached by lasers, fire and the AoE attacks targeting the underside of Omega. The mustard bomb chases one specific player with a distinct indicator. Lure that thing away from the team. Even support hunters do it. The fire that is created lasts for ages and deals pretty hefty damage, so get to the edge of the arena with that stuff. The flame carpet. They are pretty self-explanatory, but Savage Omega will mostly do 2 of them very quickly, or even 3 of them in area 4. Do not counter the first flame carpet. Never. It isn't safe. Then there's also the AoE fire and ice attacks. The ice attack freezes you in place and has a bigger radius than the fire version, but both are pretty straightforward, I'd say, and only target underneath Omega. The MRV-Missiles don't stop coming until Omega is done. 6 volleys of missiles to be exact. If Omega has enmity, on a specific hunter, only that one hops on their secret and just runs around until the tin can is done. If there is no enmity, everybody gets spammed by them, so keep that enmity going. The only way to stay aggressive during this attack is a shield, which will break at some point though, of course, if it takes too much damage. The atomic ray can be blasted in all 4 directions, one at a time or all at once, and Savage Omega may repeat them very quickly. They have a very short startup animation, so always keep these lasers in mind and focus on dodging, since Omega punishes you if you mindlessly counter the first incoming attack. The rocket punch is fairly easy to counter. You can outsmart them, counter them, or hit them, especially with axe attacks or sword mode rising slashes can hit them easily before they reach you. HP penalty. Omega will fire a small orb at you that reduces your max HP if you hit or counter it with switch axe. This effect can stack and will only wear off if you don't have enmity. So if Omega focuses you and you get hit by it, back off and let somebody else take enmity so you can recover from this debuff. You cannot roll or nullberry this debuff away, it has to decay by itself. This attack is introduced in Area 3. Larboard, Starboard, Wave Cannon. Larboard, left, Starboard, right. Honestly, this attack was so hyped to be crazy, but with Switch X you can simply counter it. It covers a big area, but I mean, just counter it. If you can't access sword mode at the time, either Superman dive or run to the opposite side of Omega. The Savage version will only announce the first wave and then quickly repeat the same attack, so it spins 360 degree in a circle. To get Omega out of Pantokrator mode, you need to destroy 3 wounds on the legs. That is easier said than done, but yeah, that is your only hope of calming that thing down for a short moment. But careful, wounds will close after a certain amount of time, similarly to Guardian monsters. So you can't create 3 wounds and wait for Pantokrator to activate to instantly knock it out of that state again. Pantokrator mode is the special rage mode where attacks are enhanced and more numerous, which basically means less openings for you to attack and more potential feints. The final moments of Savage Omega Planetes are absolute hell. Keeping enmity is difficult, so it just shits out every single attack imaginable to desperately try and kill you. In this stage, my DPS usually tanks so bad and I have to rely on the Pictomancer stuff for damage. Try your best to conserve your strength for this final stretch. Get the mount off, watch out for special weak spots from lasers or after it has the temper tantrum, and stay mobile. Never ever stand still. Unless you manage to get a shield somehow, then try to gather at the shield and let the tin can come to you. In this violent phase, the shield may not last long though. Maybe there's a trick I haven't figured out yet, but when the skull icon appears, this thing literally just throws everything it has at you. It layers its attacks on top of each other, missile strike, lasers in all directions, repeat 50 times. If you can get enmity here, good for you. But that final stretch seems to be way too much for the support hunters to take enmity, and I'll be honest, I can't do it either. So we all just chip away at it until it finally gives up. So the 2 approaches I see here are trying to force it into Area 4 as quickly as possible, so you can take it a bit easier without having to stress about the time, or you try to conserve your tools, buffs and mounts and whatever to throw everything you can at Omega once the skull icon appears. I'd probably prefer the first approach and just push it as quickly as possible into Area 4 and take your time here to finish it off, but I think there's no real right or wrong here. It all depends a bit on how the support hunters feel, and it is luck to a degree. If you can control the enmity, Omega will deal with everybody at the same time, so you won't deal enough damage. If the spider doesn't stand still or you get hit by the Steam reviews, it is basically over and you'll take the card. There are so many variables to this fight, so always eat for insurance and bring skills to keep you and the team alive, and you will be able to take down the most difficult fight in Monster Hunter Wilds as of now. You can also reach out to me on my Discord to get some experienced players with you and try to take it down. After all, this is the intended way. Ask anything you'd like about Omega in the comments. Thank you very much for watching and happy hunting everyone.